Well, first of all, let's go back to last week. You get a win on Friday night in comeback fashion against St. Thomas, a tie on Saturday against that same team. How did you like the team's performance over the weekend, and what were the things that you'd like to see sharpen up this week?
We want to collect points. The points in November, October are just as valuable as March, and I think we won in different fashions than we maybe have done during the season so far. So you go to Saturday is the easy one where we're getting more comfortable playing in one goal games, even games. There's no question we've been in our share. But then we hadn't been in overtime and we hadn't been in a shootout. So right away you give up a very glorious scoring chance in the first 3 seconds of overtime, and thankfully for Trace to shut down the door and then give us a chance to get that point in the shootout. Friday, you're coming from behind, and it's hard to chase games in our league, and especially St. Thomas. They can skate, they make plays. The crucial goal was probably scored after they went up 3-1, that we made it 3-2 and got some momentum coming back our direction. But when you looked at that game, you probably saw more balanced scoring, and that was a big piece of what's going to happen here.
This time of year, you're looking for scoring up and down the lineup at times. Is there a particular line that you like the makeup of, aside from that top line, that's contributed offensively a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we're still a little bit, in motion project. Eisen and Pitt and Groller have had their share of offense. Moore's on a little bit of a heater with scoring, so whoever's played with him. And it's been a variety of guys, whether they started that way or ended that way. And then I just think a huge contribution that's not probably talked about enough is the ability for some combination of 18, 19, 25, 24 to shut down the other groups. They play against everybody's top line pretty close to always, and they found their way to keep pretty good players off the score sheet.
You get a couple guys back in the lineup that you didn't have the week before, and Eyes and Psychos. How nice is it to have those guys back in terms of the depth of your lineup and just what they can contribute?
Campbell was vital. He played an excellent weekend of hockey to come back, especially after being out for 2-3 weekends there. He's partners with Wheeler, and those two, he made Wheels play some good hockey this weekend, and vice versa. So their comfortability with one another is really high. Eyes, it's tough when you go through and you miss practice time during the week, like he did, and he got back into full reps on Thursday. Your timing's a little bit off. Your sensitivity to your surroundings is a little bit off. I thought his first period against St. Thomas on Friday was off. But as it adjusted and wore into the weekend, his game was pretty crucial to what happened for us. So, yeah, we're going to get closer. We've got some guys day-to-day and week-to-week yet that could impact the lineup. We had Bonkowski back in the lineup. He hadn't played in a long while. We're still Finn Williams is about as close as he's been, in probably a year worth of hockey. And then Bolts is still out for a little bit here.
Two top scorers on the team are Rhett Pitlick and Brian Carabas. Talk about Brian a little bit in terms of what he's brought, third line, second line, depending on the night. But just his contribution as of late has been really well done.
Yeah, fortunate enough to coach Carbs earlier in his career in junior hockey. And he scored those 4 or 5 goals for me in the USHL, which is not an easy number. Maybe he went into a scenario at BU where the timing, the coaching change, all of those things weren't in his favor. And I think when you get a guy to come out of that a year ago, he had some highlight moments, but I think he had a lot of okay, I got to get back into hockey a little bit. I've been out, I haven't been in the lineup on a regular basis. He's extremely dependable. He doesn't give much up, yet we want to talk about the way he can skate and score. So that's a good combination for him. He's got just enough bite to his game to be a pain in the backside and yet generate offense. So Carbs has been doing a good job. He's got to be a shot mentality guy, and Pitt just creates. I mean, there's probably some frustration for Pitt because there's two sides. One, he's missed, and he's had some opportunities, offensive opportunity looks that he hasn't maybe connected with. And at the same time, he's definitely set his share of guys up that haven't finished. So those numbers could be pretty inflated pretty quick. We're quick to talk about scoring chances in our staff, and you want the positive versus the negative, and he's finding that.
Decision was made last week in regards to Canadian junior hockey. Did you have any thoughts on that decision and the potential for the CCHA to potentially get better as a result of that in the future?
Yeah, I think the CHL players, the guys that are playing major junior, this first wave, I think everyone's going to find out that academically they might not be in check with all the necessities that we have for NCAA hockey. I think as this thing wears into it, there'll be more emphasis on students. I think there's going to be some unintended consequences that are not going to be favorable for college hockey. I think some of these CHL players will be more possibly one and dones, or maybe you get 2 years out of them. They've played for, sometimes 5 years of junior hockey prior to. And then I think there's just an unbelievable, because there's a pool of players up there that are talented, that maybe at some point in their life that was their only option that they really had their teeth sunk into at as a young age, and they haven't seen a college hockey game. They haven't been to a college campus. They haven't seen the atmosphere of what it takes when you win in all of the surroundings. So there's going to be some good players that serve purpose in the NCAA route. And it could just take a little bit of footing. Same time, you don't want to lose sight on your own recruits, the guys you've got time and energy put into.
This week, you get another CCHA opponent in Northern Michigan at home. What are the things that the team has to do to remain focused? Because when you're at home, sometimes distractions can creep in.
Yeah, maybe we got to be good about it and growing up about it. Everyone can look at Northern's records and have whatever they think. They play hard. They're coached well. They've been in an unfortunate situation. There are 3 returning players. Maybe a lack of experience that have played there on campus at Marquette, but not lack of talent, not lack of, they haven't had a full lineup per se, I would say, the whole year. So there's plenty of goods in their group, and there's plenty of highlights to talk about what they bring to the table. We're just working hard to figure out us and really make sure that if someone's going to beat us, it's going to be an opponent and not beat ourselves. So we want to make sure that we just keep focusing, growing, and a big piece of that is being stingy on the defensive side, but yet creating offense and getting our guys a paintbrush that says they just go be creative and be responsible when the time says so.
The community service aspect of this team continued over the weekend. What did the guys go out and do, and how did that impact the community?
Yeah, I mean, they went out and raked leaves for the elderly there on Sunday. It's a special time. It's important to us. It's important that we do more than hockey. Hockey is the fun. Hockey is the unbelievable opportunity we have here. Reality sets in that we got to go earn these people to come into this building every weekend and do what they do for us, which is amazing. We want to make sure we get back. We've been very active with the youth hockey, and there's a Mankato has got a special needs hockey team going on the ice now. That we're getting active with that group, and it's just good for our guys. It's a sense of humility. It's a sense of reality. At the same time, wow, what an opportunity for our guys to share their platform with others that maybe don't have that opportunity.
Averaged over 4,000 fans for home games this year. Just as a whole, how nice is it to have that home support week in and week out here in this building?
It's fantastic. It makes this a really special place. I love that the idea that there's no hockey. Like if you were at the game on Saturday, you saw a 1-1 game, you're like, well, that could be boring, but that wasn't a boring game at all. That was a good hockey game. Obviously the shootout's a treat for the fans. It's not a treat for a coach, but it's a treat for the fans. It says volumes. I mean, I love it's just not all students. It's just not all community. The blend of the folks that come to our game and the youth groups that are coming out to our games, it makes it an unbelievable place, and we'll do our part to make sure that we try to ensure that they're back in their seats every weekend.
Thanks for the time.
You bet.